early 50s, balding, makes a single-serving cup of coffee as he carefully sets a table for one. His speakerphone blasts harshly from the countertop.
Sunday brunch for one person, for delivery. Name, please.
Randy sighs. He hates this part.
Randy Nooman.
Sir, I just have to say I'm a big fan.
It's Nooman. Nooman. I'm not a musician.
Oh yeah, we have you in the system, Mr. Nooman. Should be 30 minutes.
Thank you.
Hey, you've got a friend in me.
As he hangs up the phone,
Alina, what is the weather?
Randy looks toward an Amazon Alexa style device, an Amazon Echo style device on the kitchen counter. A virtual assistant indiscernible from Alexa responds.
The temperature in Van Nuys, California is currently 67 degrees.
Sure is getting chilly, isn't it, Alina?
I am incapable of small talk. We've discussed this, Randy.
Randy sighs and nods. Exterior Randy's house, day. A delivery guy, early 30s, rings the doorbell. The door slowly opens. Randy gently steps into the doorway.
Brunch for one?
Thank you.
As the delivery guy departs, Randy notices some of his neighbors outside. His friendly-faced neighbor, Ruby, 50s, waves as she walks to her mailbox.
Hi, Randy.
Hey, Ruby.
She gives him a... Oh, you can hold on to it.
It's okay.
She gives him a sincerely warm smile. Randy nods, intimidated, and his anxious mind imagines a conversation.
What the hell is Randy Nooman doing? Getting food?
Another male neighbor, stepping onto his lawn, grins and waves as he incongruously exclaims,
Randy Nooman eats? What a loser!
Randy is starting to breathe heavily in reaction to this imagined conversation. Female neighbor 2, mid-30s, stepping out of her car, chimes in with a friendly head nod.
I bet he ordered food just for one.
The delivery guy, readying to drive away, gives a friendly thumbs up in Randy's direction.
Yeah, sure did. He should do the world a favor and fucking die.
Delivery guy peels away, shooting a finger and making a super wet mouth fart in Randy's direction. All the neighbors laugh.
We're so much better than him.
The neighbors continue to laugh as a mortified Randy slams his door closed. The neighbors, who definitely said none of what Randy heard, stare, perplexed. Ruby sadly looks at Randy's closed door. Interior, Randy's house, living room. Randy stands on the other side of the door, catching his breath. Interior, Randy's house, kitchen. Randy, napkin bib in his shirt, eats a breakfast burrito alone at his kitchen table. He recoils as the house's silence makes his chewing and squishy biting sounds deafening to his own ears.
Alina, please play crowded restaurant ambient sound effect.
Playing 30 seconds of crowded restaurant ambiance.
The room immediately sounds like a packed restaurant. Randy pretends to share a conversation as he eats.
Did you see the story in the news?
He awaits a response from the empty chair on the other side of his table before continuing.
I know, it's always Florida. Do you want to try a bite of this burrito? It's fantastic.
He excitedly holds out his burrito to share. As the realization dawns on him that there's nobody to receive it, his smile drops. The ambience track ends.
Would you like to repeat the track?
No, thank you, Alina. No.
The light on the device cruelly goes dark. Randy sadly places the burrito back on his own plate. A knock on his front door startles him. Exterior, Randy's house, day. Ruby knocks, holding several envelopes.
Oh, Randy, are you still there? I mean, your car's in the driveway and we just saw you 15 minutes ago, so dur, right? I just grabbed yesterday's mail and it looks like I got something of yours by accident, so here you go.
She starts to slip an envelope under the door but pauses. She braces slightly and continues speaking, lifting the mail back into her hand with her other envelopes.
I'm sorry that I didn't get it to you sooner, but I took my mom to the casino off the 10 yesterday and didn't check the mail until now, and you'll like this, I think. I found $50 cash walking in, just laying on the ground, plain as day, and nobody saw it but me, and I didn't know if I should pick it up, but I figured, shoot, sometimes opportunity looks you right in the face, right? And I won $1,300 off it at the Daly parking slots at the casino bar. Like, maybe it was meant to be there for me, right? Like, and if I thought too much about picking it up instead of just, I'd never have had the big win.
Interior, Randy's house, living room. Randy watches the door, nervously waiting for Ruby to leave. Exterior, Randy's house. Ruby sighs. She once again leans down to place the envelope, but reconsiders and raises it back into her hand.
We're going again next month. There's room in the car if you want to come. We usually head there in the morning and stay all day and book a room for the night. I mean, you would obviously get your own room. I mean, I'm not standing at your front door saying we should get a hotel room.
Ruby panics.
Ah, fudge. Okay, bye.
She finally hastily slides one of her envelopes under the front door. She turns around and admonishes herself.
Jesus sneezes, Ruby. If you sounded any thirstier, you'd be spitting sand.
She's unaware that she slid the wrong envelope. The top envelope in her hand is still addressed to Randy Nooman. Interior, Randy's house, living room. Randy, who hasn't moved, looks at the mail piece in the distance, and Ruby's footsteps trail away from the house. Randy says to nobody,
Okay, I'll go with you.
Interior, Randy's house, bathroom, day. Randy stares in the mirror as he pulls a loose hair out of his head. Frowning, he watches it fall into the sink. He notices that the water in the sink hasn't gone down. He grabs a plastic sink snake from under the counter and drops it into the drain. Immediately, it's covered in thick hair. Randy feels his balding head sadly.
Hey, look, fellas. It's your friend.
He pulls up, and the hair keeps coming. To Randy's surprise, a ton of hair, more than Randy could ever possibly have had on his head, makes its way out of the drain, attached to Randy's plastic snake.
Ow!
Randy pauses, looks. Couldn't be. He continues pulling. Hair continues appearing.
Motherfucker!
He stops again and stares. The water bubbles and heads down the drain.
You're cracking up, Randy.
Grabbing a small garbage bag from under the counter, Randy rids himself of the baseball stadium cotton candy-sized hair chunk and the snake it stuck to. He ties it and leaves the bathroom. Once he is gone, fog rises from the drain and fills the room. The drain bubbles and several clumped hairs rise from it. A nasty, wet, hairy hand grabs the rim of the sink. A slick, wet, hair-covered monster, drain waste with a lanky human body and face, slowly emerges from the sink. This is Charlie Schmeiser. Charlie moans in pain as he rises. Interior, Randy's house, living room, day. Randy watches television. He laughs with the studio audience as a kid yells.
Aw, nuts, Willie!
Oh, Sanford, that is so you.
A wet footstep behind Randy fails to catch his attention. He laughs again, another wet footstep. Slowly, Randy turns around. His face drops at what he sees.
Stanford the Weasel will return after these messages.
Randy raises the remote, cutting off the announcer without turning his head away from.
What are you doing in my house?
Randy's aghast. Charlie stands before him, monstrous and dripping. Randy's eyes go wide.
Get out of my house!
Randy begins to hyperventilate.
Get out!
Randy looks at the threatening front door and back at the threatening monster.
I live here.
You live in my house!
Randy struggles to catch his breath.
Alina, please, call 911.
An Alina device in the corner of the living room lights up.
Playing Call 911 by Polka Party People.
A polka song begins. Charlie and Randy make tense eye contact through the Czechoslovakian accordion riffs.
Alina, stop.
The music abruptly ceases. The two stare in silence.
I have a lease.
Charlie walks toward Randy, who speeds backwards fearfully.
I have the deed to this house. Whoever leased it to you doesn't.
Randy shifts. His demeanor suggests that he may believe Charlie.
Well, there was a for rent sign.
Charlie's tone changes to one of pity.
Scammers tend to prey on the aging and bald.
Charlie sways on his feet.
What?
Feels like I've been out for a while.
He leans on the couch for support. Randy's tone softens.
Well, are you okay? Maybe sit down.
Charlie moves to sit. Randy sees the drippiness approaching the couch.
Or maybe just lean on something.
Charlie sits with a wet squish. Randy accepts it.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't like that couch very much anyway.
It's mine.
I realized as soon as the words left my mouth. You are dripping though.
It's all organic.
That's not comforting.
Randy catches his breath, no longer intimidated by Charlie. Charlie points at Tic Tacs at the coffee table.
You mind?
Please, maybe just.
Randy pantomimes a shaking pouring action with his hand. Understanding, Charlie pours the remaining Tic Tacs in his mouth.
Oh, it's like being on a forest fire.
This thing happened to me. I'm sure you don't want to hear about it. I mean, somebody's life story. You probably have your own life.
I don't. I mean, I'd love to hear your story.
Charlie raises his eyebrows at Randy's desperation.
Well, I was in line at this pizza place in Burbank.
Flashback. Exterior pizzeria. Day. Through the window of this rundown pizzeria, a healthy Charlie, 30s, tall, smarmy, stands in line. Interior pizzeria. Continuous. Charlie watches a young boy, 6, and his grandmother, 80s, as they patiently wait by the counter. Charlie's eyes settle on a slice of pepperoni pizza in front of them.
There was one slice of pepperoni left, and this little kid in front of me couldn't stop talking about it.
The young child looks at the grandmother and he mouths,
Grandma, I want the pepperoni.
And he was going to get to it first.
Charlie watches the boy, annoyed. Present, Randy's house, living room. Randy pays rapt attention to Charlie's story.
All I wanted out of life that day was a greasy slice of pepperoni. So when he gets to the counter, I yell,
Flashback, pizzeria. Charlie points to the back of the restaurant, away from the counter.
"Hey! Isn't that Santa Claus?"
The kid looks hopefully towards where Charlie was pointing, and Charlie steps up to the counter as an employee, 17, looks up.
And he turns, and I step in front of him, and I order
Charlie leans into the employee, points at the slice, holds out 3 singles, and mouths,
the pepperoni.
The employee places it on a plate, and Charlie hands him the cash. He takes a bite as the boy turns back to him.
The kid turns back and says,
The boy silently mouths.
I didn't see Santa.
I said,
Charlie, a bite of pepperoni in his mouth and the rest of the slice in his hand, leans over the boy and mouths,
You can't see Santa if you're on the naughty list. You're probably on the naughty list. The kid starts crying.
The boy bawls. Present, Randy's house, living room. Randy is aghast.
Ah, you're a monster!
Watch it.
No, I didn't mean
Randy indicates all of this with his arm.
this. I meant your person, not how you look.
Oh.
I wasn't trying to be insulting. I just meant that you're, horrible.
Oh yeah, sorry. I get sensitive about my looks.
I get that, of course, because you're, well, a monster.
For fuck's sakes!
Continue.
Flashback, pizzeria. The grandmother slowly turns to face Charlie. Her face is a frightening pallor, and her eyes are pure white. Her skin is wrinkled, her hair is gray, and her lips are chapped.
So as Grandma turns to me, and this is the first time I noticed that her eyes are solid white, glowing. I felt like I could see my past and my future in those eyes.
Present, Randy's house, living room. Randy nods.
Oh, this is going somewhere.
Flashback, pizzeria. The grandmother silently speaks to Charlie with a fury as her face contorts with anger.
And she says,
If you're going to act like a monster.
Present, Randy's house, living room. Randy's face fills with understanding.
Yeah, this is starting to come together.
Flashback, pizzeria. The grandmother touches Randy's forehead as she removes her finger.